Alright, so we're back for part 2. Let's keep on going with this. Again, I don't really want to spend too much time on any of these questions, so I want to just go through it. The next question, form on incline dumbbell chest press. I feel more sore in my shoulders lately. This is something that I found, regardless if it's incline or flat presses, for the majority, I shouldn't say for the majority, but for a long time in my lifting career, I was getting a ton of shoulder development from my chest movements. As you can probably tell, a lot of you guys comment on my shoulders. I think this was because a lot of times it's just the form on it. I found that when I was benching, I was keeping a wide grip and I was keeping my elbows flared out quite a bit. What I've been trying to do recently is tucking my elbows more, as well as going with a little bit more of a powerlifting narrower grip, and I found this really helps a lot. My best advice to you is play around with form a bit. Go lighter and see what you get the best chest activation from, whether it be severely pinching back your shoulder blades, whatever it may be. If you have the time, go check out So You Think You Can Bench, which is a series put out by Elite FTS. It's like a 4 or 5 part video series, and they do a great job about everything from the setup to pressing and how to really improve your bench press, and I think that'll help you as it really helped me. Deadlift plateau, how do I break through without going on a bulk? Oh, I'm not sure if you're on a cut in this case. You can still maintain and gain a lot of strength while on a cut, although after an extended period of time, I don't think it's really realistic to continue to do so. But again, anytime I hit a plateau, what I look at is, first of all, volume as well as frequency. So those would be my 2 things to take a look at. And busting through plateaus, I think, would warrant its own video. And then Lee asked me, breaking in my fucking Inzer belt, so apparently having a hard time. I don't have the best experience on this, only because I just recently got mine. I had an Inzer belt in the past. It was a 2-prong model that was a gift from someone, so it was a hand-me-down, and it was already broken in. So I haven't had a lot of experience doing this, although a lot of people have said when you get some free time, take the lever off if you have a lever belt, and just go ahead and just sit there and roll it while you're watching TV or whatever, that it really helps breaking it in. The next question, do you believe in drinking a gallon of water a day, or is that bro science? With this, I think drinking a gallon is a good kind of goal to have. You know, if you drink a little bit less or if you drink a little bit more, depending on your size and depending on also what you're doing, I don't think it's necessarily necessary, but I think it's just one of those good markers, just like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Yeah, that's not necessarily the exact specific amount that you need. However, I think it's just a good amount to aim for. With this and with anything, if I don't hit my numbers, regardless if we're talking calories, macros, in this case water, it's not going to make or break your diet, but again, it's just a good round number to shoot for. The next question says, can strongman powerlifting training be incorporated in a bodybuilding program to provide additional strength gain? I think definitely, and I think it should. I think you should include a lot of powerlifting and strength training into your program. One of my favorite routines is Lane Norton's FAT, so it's power hypertrophy adaptive training, so it has a combination of the both, and you'll see a lot of the best routines out there have heavy days and also bodybuilding type days, so I think it can be very beneficial, and I think it should be implemented into any really good routine. Next question, who places higher on the contest against each other, Matt Ogus or Chris Jones? With this, I love them both. They're both my boys, so to say. We talk a good amount of everybody. I think Ogus has a lead on him just because the experience itself. From what I've garnished, both with talking with people and hearing personal experience, and from the small amount of stuff that I've actually seen, experience does play a huge role in this. You could be in a lot better shape, but if your posing's off, your mechanics are off, you don't know how to go about things, especially if this is your first real prep, that can be a limiting factor to a lot of people. So I think on experience alone, Matt has the leg up. Not to count Chris out, because as Mark Lobliner has said, Chris has a really impressive physique, and again, not to take anything away from Matt, so it's up in the air, but I would give the edge to Matt based off of experience in this case, and just having gone through everything before. The next question, can you gain muscle mass with calorie deficit? I hate this question. Yes. Can you do it? It is possible. Is it realistic for most people? I would say no. This is going to warrant its own video. I think Jason Blaha from Ice Cream Fitness actually just did a video on this, and he's been doing a lot of great videos over the past couple of weeks where he talks about this more in depth. It can happen, it's just not very realistic, and it depends on the situation too. Usually in most cases what we're looking at for people is if they're new to training, if they're obese, maybe if they're coming back after a long layoff, or if they're on some kind of anabolics. Otherwise it's not really realistic in my opinion to do so. Next question, your opinion on CrossFit. CrossFit gets a really bad rap, and I think with anything, regardless if it's CrossFit or certain diet types or any kind of training out there, there are people that give it a bad name. I think it can be very beneficial depending on your goals. I've been to a few CrossFit type training facilities here. I have a lot of friends that are involved in it. It is a tough workout. However, I don't believe it's in line with my current goals. I'll say it that way. So I don't want to shit on anyone who likes CrossFit because I think it can be effective. It's just not in line with my goals, and I don't necessarily believe some of the claims that they make regarding its superiority to other types of training. Next question, tracking calories, macros when in a bulk. As far as this goes, you don't have to necessarily track. A lot of people don't like to track macros. I prefer to, only because otherwise it gets a little sloppy and it's tougher to do in my opinion. So I like to know where I stand, and plus it's so easy with MyFitnessPal doing stuff like that. That's my best answer. It's kind of a generic question, so I don't know exactly where you want to go. If you can clarify, I'll try to answer it in the comment section. Chris asked me, what's my Super Bowl prediction? Well, I live in New England. My family has had season tickets to the Patriots since they came into the league, so a long, long time. They have really nice seats. However, I didn't grow up in New England. I grew up all over. My parents were in the military. But where I consider home is still the Washington, D.C. area, so I'm a Redskins fan. However, the first game I went to was a Patriots game, and like I said, my family is obsessed with the Patriots, as is everybody in New England. That being said, I think they're going to win today, although I'd probably rather see Baltimore because that's closer to where I consider myself from. But if Baltimore wins, I think it's going to be a terrible Super Bowl because I think more than likely San Francisco is going to beat Atlanta, even though I have a friend that is on Atlanta, although he's injured this year, so he didn't get to play, so it sucks for him, although he's going to be down there for the game this weekend. I would like to say that it's going to be San Francisco, New England, but I wouldn't be mad if Baltimore won. Next question. In your vid the other day, you noticed you missed your goal on macros. How important is it to hit them daily if you're on a bulk? I don't think it's important to hit them daily. Just as I kind of mentioned with the numbers thing with the water already, what I look at here is overall in the long term. So as long as you're consistently at or close to your macros, I think that's all that matters. If you're off a couple days, it's not going to make a huge difference in the long run. And I apologize if I look to the side here. I'm looking at my laptop as I'm trying to see how long I'm going on these. Next question. What is your personal style as clothes, hair, appearance? Well, as far as my personal style goes, I would say I don't have much of that. Fashion has never been one of my strong points. You guys can probably tell from my videos, both of me standing around in my room as well as in the gym. I kind of just wear whatever. You know, obviously Krang t-shirts aren't very fashionable. Yellow shoes aren't very fashionable in my opinion. I just go more for comfort. What I tend to do is I buy stuff that I like as far as comfort-wise, and I just wear the hell out of it. And if I need to buy new stuff, I will. I typically leave that up to my girlfriend. She buys me clothes every now and then, and that's what my style is. As far as hair goes, I don't have much of it left. So this is my style, I guess. Easy and efficient. Don't really have to put a lot of work into it. Next question on here. What do you think of the theory that you should train in under 45 minutes because that's when testosterone starts to deplete? For example, do you think it's more optimal to train the same 20 sets in 45 minutes or train 1 hour with longer sets? Again, with these numbers, I don't think anything's set in stone. So if you train an hour, that's great. If you train 45 minutes, depends on what you do. If you train an hour and a half, that's fine too. I would only really be worried if you're training in under 30 minutes or maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, just because I think you can be more efficient in how you're training. And I think that video would probably warrant a more detailed response at a later date. Next question, name your top 5 exercises to get bigger and stronger, not the big 3. Well, unfortunately, this is kind of a contradiction because those big 3 are probably some of the top exercises to do. Bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press, rows would probably be my opinion on that. Otherwise, if you're looking to get bigger or stronger, I mean, if it's something like biceps, barbell curls, maybe dumbbell curls, it really depends on your own personal preference. What did you major into to do to get your job? It sounds awesome. So my major in college is a little bit interesting. To keep it simple, I'll say economics, although the main focus was in something called econometrics, which is just basically instead of getting a BA in economics, you get a Bachelor of Science or a BS because you have a lot more heavy math involvement. And with that, what comes with it is not only math, but also more predictions and reading and trying to interpret data, which I think you can kind of see conveyed into some of the ways I do this video. So I got a BS in econometrics, and then I had a minor in business administration, neither of which is really applicable to my job today. And I'll do a video more in depth on how I progressed into that job, as I kind of didn't start there. It just, the opportunity presented itself based off of how I was performing in other positions. And I'll try to talk about that later. So unfortunately, my education didn't have any background in what I do for a living today. Next question, let me see the time. This will probably be the last one before I cut it. What do you recommend for a college student having to work out early in the morning and basically relies on a pre-workout do? Well, I'm not in college anymore. However, I work out first thing in the morning and I train fasted just because it's convenient to me. I'm not the kind of person who needs any kind of food before. I don't find my performance drops off. What I would say is, if you're really struggling to train in the morning on this, try to find a more convenient time. One of the things to me about being the most optimal, despite what you read about research and timing and all this stuff, is find out when it's most convenient for you, and I think you'll usually find that you get better performance out of it. And if it's something where you need carbs or something like that, I answered it in an earlier question already, throw in something quick like dextrose or waxy maize, whatever you want, and that might give you a little boost of energy as far as calories go. All right, so I'm going to cut this here. This is going to conclude part 2. We'll come back and do part 3, and we'll see how far we get. And I appreciate you guys watching, and be right back.